It's a beautiful day in Newport News. Our company, the Vhda Group, is based in Columbus, Ohio. We're used to heat, but not quite like this. I want to thank you for coming. My name is Craig Patterson. I'm one of the senior vice presidents for the Vhda Group, and I think it's about 5 years ago that we started looking for sites in Newport News, and we found this site. Many of you remember there was a large brick warehouse type of property, historic, that was here in a smaller building over here. The brick building came down before we actually received credits from VHDA, and then we were the ones who demoed the other building. On behalf of Jeff Vhda and David Cooper, both owners of the company, we'd like to welcome you to the celebration of Brennan Pointe, a 44-unit general occupancy property, fully leased. We leased it in 4 months, which is record and amazing. And it is for singles and families and for seniors that are working or who have retired and are able to meet the requirements to lease up this property. Before we get started, though, I would like to bring the Honorable Pastor Tremaine Johnson to give our invocation.
Good morning. Let us bow our heads. God, we thank you for this most precious time. Thank you, God, for the collaborative minds that have come together to think on the least of these. And for this time we come to say thank you for every person here and certainly for this grand celebration. Thank you, God, for this haven that shall serve as a home for singles, for seniors, for families. And God, we pray that you will bless this celebration today as we honor you, because it's in you that we live and move and have our being. We thank you for this city and certainly for those who preside over it, and for every citizen present today. We give you praise in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. My colleague Bruce Watts, who's in our Norfolk office, will be joining me in the MC. But you know, really, a project like this can never come to being, can never be built without the help of the city or the municipality. And I remember the first time I met Vice Mayor Tina Vick. We stood out near the site. We talked about the site. We talked about this area. And we talked about the needs of the area, the future apprentice school that was going to be built, some market rate housing that was going to be built. And she said, I will support this project. Vice Mayor, if you could come forward.
Good morning, everyone. And it's always a pleasure to come to ribbon cuttings and places where great things are happening. And I'm so glad it's happening right here in Newport News. I just want to thank the Vhda Group, Pastor Johnson. Always a pleasure to be on the dais with you and to have your blessings. But, you know, when I ran my first campaign in 2008 to be able to represent this city, one of my platforms was to increase the safe, decent, and affordable housing in a district that has been plagued with old, dilapidated housing, housing that has not been the best for our citizens. So to be able to support Bruce and the entire Vhda Group on bringing new housing to this area, and I know Karen Wiles, our executive director for our housing authority, we've had many conversations, and we talk about during this revitalization process of downtown, how it will make people feel to transition from dilapidation and old housing, but to have that inner success and inner happiness and peace to be able to say and feel better, because we know in society when things around us look better, inside we feel better. We want to do better, and we want to accomplish more. So I'm so excited to be able to have this, and I'm very possessive when I say this, so don't take it personal, in my district. So I'm really excited to be here today, but not just for me, but for the lives of people who have an opportunity to be in a place that's fresh and brand new, and to be able to have the commodities that they deserve to have. So I just want to thank you all so much for being here to do this for not just me, but the families whose lives will be blessed from Brennan Pointe. So thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Again, thank you, Vice Mayor. I go way back with the Vice Mayor, Tina Vick, when she was a council person. And I'm so proud to see her become the Vice Mayor for the city of Newport News. Again, good morning. Welcome, everyone. My name is Bruce Watts. I'm the Director of Development for the Vhda Group in Virginia and Eastern North Carolina. And I just want to thank the city of Newport News for being pro-business to the Vhda Group and other developers. I used to work in municipalities. As many of you know, I work for the city of Norfolk. And Newport News is a pro-business city. Your staff here is tremendous. And at this time, I would like for the staff that helped us get Brennan Pointe to the point where we're open today to please stand. Newport News staff, don't be modest. Come on, let's do it. There we go. As you all know, it takes a team effort to put any project together, and you have a tremendous leader in Sidney Roth. I met Sidney probably 3 years ago when Jim Boney was the city manager here. And I met with him, and he said, Bruce, I've got a point person that's going to shepherd this project through for you all, and that's Brennan Pointe. With Sidney's leadership, she assembled a meeting with the staff that basically just stood up, and that staff shepherded us through that process of getting our permits, our site plan, our design. Saul was tremendous on that. But it was Sidney's leadership that made this work in a pro-business environment for us. So at this point, Sidney, I'm just so proud to see that you're the city manager. And without further ado, please come up.
Good morning. It's always nice to hear those kind words. And before this event, they kept telling me they want you to speak, and I kept saying, why? I didn't do anything. And that is just, I'm so honored for those comments, and thank you. But it truly is my pleasure to be here this morning. We are really excited about having another affordable housing option in our city, and particularly in downtown Newport News. I again want to express my thanks and appreciation to the Vhda Group for working collaboratively with the city and helping to bring this housing complex to fruition. From the beginning, the Vhda Group was committed and engaged with the city administration, and we committed our team of codes, development, engineering, and planning. And we also involved our regional business district design committee to provide input and support to facilitate the successful completion of the final product that we see today. It is truly a great example of a public-private partnership and a collaboration, and we appreciate it. While no direct local funding has gone into the project, the city over a 5-year period and during 3 city administrations has wholeheartedly supported the development. Why? Because we are committed to providing quality, affordable housing for our citizens, and this project was an opportunity to do just that. Here in Newport News, we pride ourselves in working with the business community and investors to ensure a successful development process for the benefit of the entire city. We certainly value the relationship that we have established with the Vhda Group. With Brennan Pointe and the plans for development of Brennan Pointe 2, we are seeing our vision for downtown become a reality. A vision for new private investment and new housing opportunities in proximity to the city's major employers, and our vision for a vibrant downtown where our citizens can live, work, and play. So to the residents of Brennan Pointe, welcome to the downtown Newport News community, and may you make wonderful memories in your new homes. And thank you.
Thank you, City Manager. Next up is Karen Walls, the Executive Director for the Newport News Housing Authority. I have a story about Karen, too. I have a story about a lot of folks here, and they probably got a couple stories about me. Here comes Bruce again. But when we first tried to lease up here, we had a challenge trying to find office space downtown. And the good thing about Karen is if I send her an email, usually within hours I get a response, not 24 hours, not 72 hours. And so I said, well, I'm going to try Karen. Maybe they've got some office space somewhere. And so she sent me an email back like 2 hours later. And the next day, she had one of her personnel showing me office space that they own in downtown Newport News. So we got an agreement together to lease it for like 3 months. And that's how we started our office of leasing up for Brennan Pointe in the city. But Karen has just been a tremendous leader. Is any of her staff here? If you are, please stand. Don't be bashful. Thank you. Thank you. Again, it takes a team to build an organization, and Karen has been a tremendous leader in housing for a very long time in the city of Newport News, well respected throughout the state of Virginia. And I'd like to bring to the podium now Ms. Karen Walls.
I won't tell my story about Bruce, but no, this is such a pleasure that this is all coming together today. I'm incredibly pleased that Vhda asked me to be part of the celebration for this beautiful development, and I congratulate them on their 4 months lease up. That was incredible, and I'm glad we could help in that little tiny way. And congratulations to the 44 families and single folks who were able to live here, because I've had the pleasure over the last several months, every day when I go home from work, I've been checking the progress on the construction. And Vhda has done a great job, and this is a beautiful facility. I have also been really impressed about the way that Vhda immediately sought out ways to become active in the community. And Bruce and Craig, it's been a pleasure working with them, but almost immediately Bruce called me and asked me about opportunities for construction work here for some of our residents. And they also immediately got involved in our scholarship program that we offer to our residents of public housing in Section 8, and became donors almost immediately before they even dug a hole in the ground here. So they've sought out really great ways to become good corporate citizens here in Newport News. We have one of our voucher holders that lives here, and we were able to commit 5 vouchers for the second phase of this development that's going to be happening right in the next block. So we're very committed to providing affordable housing, and we're so pleased that this quality development is here in Newport News, and I welcome Vhda to Newport News, and I look forward to future partnerships. So thank you for becoming part of the answer to affordable housing in our city, and congratulations.
Thank you, Karen, and thank you for the help on the lease up. She mentioned Brennan Pointe 2, which will be a 43-unit general occupancy. We just closed on it 2 days ago with our equity. And we think the day after Labor Day, we're going to start laboring to the north, and we're going to build. And the design will be similar. And today in the audience, I have Rob Gustafson from our design team. He is our architectural firm from Hooker DeYoung. And also, Rayford Urey of Hogard Urey is their representative. Jack Claude here, I didn't see him, but they worked on our civil and helped us working with the city. This could have never come to pass without the U.S. government and housing tax credits. And many of you have heard of the VHDA and you understand how hugely impactful they are within the cities of this Commonwealth, bringing affordable housing to working families and seniors. The individuals who serve us each day in our municipalities get up every day, go to work, raise their families, become contributors to the community, either in leadership roles or else in entrepreneurial roles. These are the important people. These are the people that Jeff and David from the Vhda Group serve, whom are investors, who Karen, but VHDA provides the guidelines for how you get funding. And the guidelines are simple. Follow the application process. It's pretty full off the log if you know what you're doing and if you are absolutely perfect in your submission. We were fortunate on our first try. We received credits. And again, thank you to everybody from the city, from Karen's group who gave us counsel on how to do it. And we submitted and we won. And VHDA gave us $502,000 in credits per annum for a 10-year period, which translated to an investment of $5.2 million in equity. But overall, this is a $7.4 million investment into the downtown of Newport News and also into the future, to the families who came quickly and the singles and the seniors. But I would like to introduce the woman who makes it all happen, Suzan Dewey, who not only has that application process she oversees with her staff, but she also does a great charity event every year that many of you may have attended. The VHDA golf outing, which raises, and I watch her every year pass out big checks. Come on up, Karen.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It certainly is a pleasure to be here today for many reasons. One, I came today from Richmond, but I'm originally from Hampton Roads, so it's always good to be home. But it's really good to be here today and to really see everything come together and to see the housing that's provided in this area that we are looking at right now. Now, one of the words I heard Pastor say was collaborative. And that really is what it takes to get this done. It is a lot of minds coming together and working very hard. So, you know, a lot of people criticize government, but to me, this is one place where government really gets it right. And it does start at the federal government level, and we're so pleased to have Congressman Scott here today, because this wouldn't be possible without the federal housing tax credits that provide the equity, as you were talking about earlier, for this type of affordable housing. And it's such an important program, and we can't emphasize enough what it means to the citizens of the Commonwealth that need affordable housing. So thank you for your leadership once again, Congressman Scott. I know I'll see you later today at another development as well. But then at VHDA, thank you for your kind comments about VHDA. I have with me today Art Bowen, who's the Managing Director of Rental, and the real worker bees, Janelle Pittman-Shaw and Sheila Stone, that are in the tax credit area that really work hard to get this done. But there's a lot of other people back at VHDA that work together to get all this done. And it really does start with the leadership at the top with our board. And I'm really pleased to have with us today one of your very own residents in Newport News, Clarissa McAdoo Canyon, and her husband have joined us. She's the vice chair of the VHDA board. So thank you for being here. She also, at one point for many, many years, was my colleague and Karen's, because she worked for the Suffolk Redevelopment Housing Authority and just recently retired. So thank you for all your service to affordable housing, Clarissa. And then it really does get to the local level. Doesn't matter what we do at the federal and state level if you don't get the support when it comes down to the local level. All housing is about the support of the locality. So thank you, Vice Chair, for being here, and also City Manager and my friend Karen, who works with us on some of our advisory groups and is always so supportive of what we're trying to do, and just won a couple of new developments for Newport News in our tax credit round this past June. That'll be coming up. So thank you for all the support for all of you in Newport News that really push hard to make this happen. But again, and you said simple, and that's never a word I hear in the context of the tax credit program. You simply do have to follow the process, and I'm really proud of our program in Virginia because it's transparent, it's quantitative, the rules are there, but it's very complex, and it takes a lot to put these deals together. So I can't thank enough David Cooper and Craig Patterson, Bruce Watts, all of the Vhda team for all that they're doing to really bring this literally home, because it's really, really difficult to put all this together. And we have some rules in the tax credit program. It's not just about the bricks, because we do like sustainable products, as you know, but it's also about some of the other things that are important to the community. And one of those that I'm really proud of is our emphasis on property management. Because you can build something like this, but if it's not properly managed and maintained, then it is not good for the community. And we really emphasize certified property management, and that's what Vhda is going to make sure happens here, to make sure that it is managed appropriately, good for the community, not only looks good outside, but looks good inside. And also that the units here are 100% affordable for working families and individuals at 50 to 60% of median income. So it's so important that our working families have good, affordable housing. Another emphasis we have is on green building and universal design. Green building helps to make sure it's energy efficient, keeps the cost down, and also 26 of the units here, more than half, meet our universal design requirements, so they're fully accessible to people with disabilities. So I just want to thank all of you for being here today, because it's such important work. And again, thanks for the Vhda's contribution to our golf tournament, which helps our homeless shelters all across the state. But it's important because at the end of the day, it's all about the families that live here. And I know we have some that are going to be living here with us. I assume these two cute little gentlemen right here might be those. But we are, it is at the end of the day all about what we're doing to serve the people that need affordable housing. So thanks to each and every one of you for your support.
Thank you, Susan, and thank you again, the VHDA team. Some of you may remember this movie where some athlete said, "Show me the money." It's so important to find the right investor to purchase the housing tax credits. RBC, Tony Alfieri, and his group has funded, I think you said, Tony, 24 Vhda projects in multiple states. We're kind of getting to know each other. And we were so pleased when they said we would like to be part of rebuilding Newport News. Tony, could you come up, please?
Yep. Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Bruce. You know, the story that really hasn't gotten told yet is the one of stewardship. It's a story of stewardship into communities. So for me to stand up here and realize that this is our 24th transaction with the Vhda group, you know, I try to think through that and understand it. And it ends up not being so much about the numbers. It ends up not being so much about the spreadsheets or making, you know, big investment. We end up being partners for 15 years. There's a commitment of affordability for actually 30 years into this property. RBC is extremely grateful of the stewardship that the Vhda group puts into certainly the tax credit program, but then actually into each individual site. So I think Newport News will end up being very proud of this you know, property. Certainly very proud of you know, hopefully the next phase. There's an opportunity for me to be here in a few more years. I'm looking forward to that as well for the next phase. But I'd also like, you know, I'd be remiss to not talk through the stewardship of VHDA. So RBC is a national syndicator. We've got a portfolio of you know, tax credit or affordability of a little over $8 billion. we get to work in a lot of states. So I'd like to commend VHDA for the work that they've done, the stewardship that they've provided into the tax credit program. And it isn't simple. It's the largest section of the tax code right now. We know that the tax code is currently being rewritten or possibly being rewritten, but as it stands, Section 42 of the tax code is pretty complicated. There are multiple rules that you need to follow, but the governance that the state of Virginia does is second to none. So, thank you. That is a little personal for me. I actually lived in Northern Virginia for quite a few years in the 1990s. I worked for First Union National Bank, had an opportunity to work with VHDA for years and years. So it's not just, my experience with Brennan Pointe. It's a long-based experience across many, many projects. So again, I'd just like to say, thank you on behalf of RBC, and congratulations to the city and everybody that has, really come together to make this happen. And I'm quite certain that you'll be very, very proud of this for many years to come. So thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Some of you may remember I said 5.2 million in equity. For the math majors, you heard me say 7.4. There's something in between that has to be done to get to the 7.4. Charles from Bank of America, Charles Henderson's here, and he represents our lender that help us on the perm side and the construction.
Good morning. I had a chance to talk to Bruce when I first got here and was sharing with him over my 43-year banking career. Now, I know you can't believe that, but it's true. I had a chance to work within community development banking, which focuses on the creation and development of affordable housing. And I was sharing with Bruce that in Washington, D.C., we still tell the story of an 8-story development that had 9 layers of equity or financing involved. Think about that, 9 layers in only an 8-story building. Thank goodness. But in all seriousness, it's a pleasure to be with you all today. I see our good friends at VHDA and the city, and I see Clarissa, who I worked with over at the Redevelopment Housing Authority in Suffolk and Norfolk for a number of years. And it's all about partnerships. A great project like this does not happen overnight. It takes partnerships, it takes a lot of work. And on behalf of Bank of America, we're so happy to be your partner in this particular development. 44 families living here in Newport News. I mean, that's what the bottom line is. So congratulations to the Vhda team for all that they're doing for our community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Susan mentioned something so critical when it comes to sustaining a property like Brennan Pointe, its management. And Jeff Vhda and David Cooper continually remind us it's all about the customer. The customer is our tenant families, our singles, our seniors. Today we have 2 of our management representatives, Lisa Landis and Judy Serhan. And Judy is going to come up because Judy is our regional in the Commonwealth. She knows our tenants, and she's going to introduce an individual who is living here. Come on up, Judy.
I thank everyone for coming today. As you see, we have a lovely product, and when everyone gets finished, they hand it off to management, and they say, here you go, and you've got just a little bit of time to get it all leased up. Well, then that process, you get to know families. You get to know the in and outs of their life, the dynamics that make their families. And I had the privilege of getting a phone call one day from one of our first residents, Mr. Rogers, and we were having a little problem getting Mr. Rogers qualified and doing a few little things. So it took me having to speak to his attorney to get him straightened out, and so we just helped him. And so he was one of the first ones here, and he has warmed our hearts because not only do we provide housing for them, but they become part of our families. Because we see them. We see them all the time, don't we? And they never fail to stop and ask how we're doing. Do we need anything? And even when we're working late at night, they're always watching and asking us as managers and upper management, do we need anything? And I don't think I could say anything else to add to that, to let you know how grateful that we are that you chose Brennan Pointe to live here. And this is Mr. Clarence Ross. Won't you say a few little words for us, if you don't mind?
You'll be in trouble then. My name is James Rogers. I'm a resident here. I'm in 205. It's a beautiful day. But we know we got places that's not as beautiful in Houston. So we keep our prayers to them. They asked me about how I feel about the place I'm staying in. Love don't take too long to explain, so I'm going to do it this way. I thank you, Whda team, the management. I thank all y'all guys because what's going on now? Y'all has opened up a place that's been closed down for a long time. We thought it would be dead down here. Well, y'all have reopened it, and we are happy to be here with y'all guys. We ask y'all guys to always talk to someone like me, or you better keep it together, you know, and things work out real good. I love y'all guys, and I thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Well, it's tough coming behind someone like Mr. Rogers. When I saw him earlier today and I saw that nice outfit he had on, I said, man, it's going to be tough coming behind you. Can I at least borrow your hat, you know? But that's a great story for one of our residents. I'll tell you a little quick story about, we're doing a project in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. And we met with the city manager, David Cooper, and I, and some of our other colleagues. And he said to me, I'll never forget this, he said, Bruce, when that kid gets off that bus, I want that kid to feel proud that they live at Ravenwood. Well, guess what? Brennan Pointe, when that kid gets off that bus, they're going to be proud that they live here. And that's part of our mission. I mean, we build this for adults and kids, but we all have children. If we don't have children, we have relationships with kids. And our kids need to feel proud where they live. So I wanted to share that little story with you. And I also want to thank Florence Kingston because she was one of the first personnel with the city that I met with and her staff when we started this process and this journey that we continue to have. At this particular point, I never thought that I would get an opportunity to introduce my congressman, the great Robert Bobby Scott. Let me tell you a couple of things about the congressman just before he gets up here. This might be my only opportunity. But Congressman Scott has been at the forefront of affordable housing, quality housing for the state of Virginia as long as I can remember. He is, if not the best, he's one of the best congressmen in the United States of America. And he's definitely the most prestigious and the most qualified and the most leader in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Congressman.
Thank you, thank you.
And we got 2 projects in this district. One here today and one in Norfolk. And we're so proud of you and thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Bruce, we got a saying that comes to my mind. If that's what you were going to say, I'd say what we say frequently on the floor of the House, I yield the gentleman some more time. Sydney, Ann Hunter suggesting that she didn't deserve any credit because she hadn't done anything. You will learn, as Tina and I have learned over the years, that you're going to get blamed for a lot of things. Don't feel like taking for credit. You know, at events like this, I'm reminded what that great Spokesman Yogi Berra said when he got a great award at a big event, and he stood up and said, "I want to thank everyone who made today necessary." Well, I want to congratulate Mona and for this project. If you have any idea of what a home needs to be, just look at what's going on in Houston. Lose their home, they're in total dismay, and a nice home is such a fundamental part of your existence. This is making possible needy housing for people desperately in need. The fact that you could rent it almost instantaneously is testimony to the need. One problem with providing housing for low to moderate income people is that arithmetic doesn't quite work. The rents that they can afford don't pay for the construction. If you kind of put your thumb on the scale with some tax credits, all of a sudden things come into alignment and we can provide great housing. Virginia's done a good job. VHDA, we're designated the first state in the union to effectively end homelessness for veterans. And that's a testimony to the good work of projects like this and others across the country. This is an energy efficient project, and so the bills that people pay every month for heating and air conditioning won't be as much as other people pay because it's energy efficient. So we have a nice project. People low and moderate income housing can get housing, and so I want to thank Vhda and state and local officials and bankers for making today necessary. Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman. Appreciate those comments and the reminder of how important a home is. Part of keeping this place maintained, we have a gentleman, Andre, a resident of Newport News. Andre, you want to raise your hand? He's back and back. We want to recognize him because he keeps it looking good and he keeps the, like Mr. Rogers, happy. So I've worked for the Vhda Group for several years. I think it was 2002 that Jeff Vhda first asked if I would help out in the state of Michigan. Shortly after, David Cooper joined the company as a full partner. And I got to say, the reason I'm still here is because David and Jeff are men of their word. They allow us to go into the field, find sites. They allow us to meet with cities and make commitments. And they live by what we commit. And part of the way they continue that commitment is by hiring a management staff that is always keeping their ear to the ground and being responsive to the city. David Cooper, he represents Vhda in 14 states. He's got more up here about what's going on in affordable housing than can be imagined. So, David, why don't you come up and share a few thoughts?
Thanks, Craig, and I'm aware I'm the last speaker, so I'll try to be brief here. But I do specifically want to thank the Congressman for being here today. We're really honored by your presence. Also, Executive Director Dewey, thank you so much for being with us today. All the city staff, and you know, we as a company have been around since 1990. We've done about 300 affordable housing developments through the years. A little bit over $2 billion of affordable housing development that we've done. We take our commitments and our partnerships very seriously. In our company's history, we've only ever sold one property. So of all those $2 billion of development we've done through the years, we continue to own and manage all of those properties. So when we get involved in a community, we take our involvement very, very seriously because we are there for the long term. And you know, in our business, it's kind of all about relationships and partnerships. So we certainly appreciate Tony Alfieri and RBC and Bank of America and their community development team. We've done in our world we don't do one-time transactions with people, so we have long-term relationships, long-term partnerships, and that really works out for the best for all of us. So we take very seriously the trust that everyone from the federal government, by giving us the tax credit, to VHDA working with us, to the city, to our financing partners. All that trust is very important to us, and we never lose track of the fact that what we're doing is serving residents. And I just want to say too, from our side, there's a tremendous staff that we've got. You've met some of our development people, and Craig and Bruce. We have several other development people, Greg Mustrick, Barry Accountius, Glenn Schultz, who worked on this. One of the stories about this property is we had a third-party contractor who was going to build it for us, and about 13 months ago we realized they weren't getting it done. We do have our own construction company, so we stepped in about August 1 of last year. The building was maybe 20% done, and we had residents moving in December. So a tremendous effort by our construction group to really ramp up quickly and get the job done. So we were very happy with that. I do want to recognize Lisa Landis, who's our senior management person, who's here today. So for the next 30 years, it'll be her responsibility to make sure that things look really good and stay as you see them today. So again, thank you so much for being here. On behalf of Jeff Vhda and myself, we really appreciate all the support, all the help, and all the teamwork that went into getting this done. Thank you.
Thank you, David, and thank you all. And I got to recognize everybody who looked at the setup here. Karen Bernick is our PR director, and she lives in Iowa. Isn't that amazing? And she's here today, and she put this all together with Bruce's help and the staff's help. And she's the one who's responsible, with Bruce's help, for the refreshments that are right through that door to the left. And we will have tours. Lisa and Judy will lead. We have a vacant or a unit that one of the residents said we can come in. So thank you again very much for being here to celebrate Brennan Pointe and our residents. Thank you.